The reason I'm bringing this up at this particular time and feel it's very important we talk about it is we're going to delve into some topics that sometimes people find that might be a little uncomfortable or oftentimes aren't even spoken of in the church. But yet God has taken the time to write an entire book on romance from the very beginning to the very end. So if the Scripture is truly God-breathed, and I believe it is, then we can go to the Scripture for information to be able to live in our lives and take things out of this for our lives. For instance, I believe, some people say, or will challenge Christians, and I've been challenged myself personally, well, but man wrote Scripture. Men wrote the Scripture. Well, the God that I worship put all the stars in place, knows them all by name, knows all the hairs on my head, which is probably not a real big deal, but maybe for some of you it's a bigger deal than it is for me. But he knows everything. He's created everything. He created man from dust. He created women from a rib on a man. If he can do all that, in my opinion, if there was one sentence, one colon, or even one comma in the Bible that's wrong, instantly God could will that it be changed, and it would be in every Bible that's ever existed or will ever exist. And that's my opinion. So with that in mind, that's what we're going to use as the basis of our study. If we believe that Scriptures are really God-breathed, then the information that's in the Scripture, everything from Genesis all the way to Revelations, is appropriate to talk about, it's appropriate to learn from, and it's there for a particular reason. So that's the reason that we want to make sure to cover that. So a little history and background. In the Old Testament, it's broken down into basically three categories or three topics. You have the laws and regulations. You've got the historical or prophets, and then you've got the poetic section. The poetic section is broken down as Proverbs, Job, Ecclesiastes, Psalms, and the Song of Solomon, or the Song of Songs, as some books call it. So God, why haven't you told us anything about dating and marriage? Why haven't you? Has God given us a feeling as strong as romance, as passionate as sex, and something as possibly destructive as marriage, and told us nothing about it? So that's the question. Has God provided us stuff? Did God create an institution as powerful as marriage and then just abandon us? Does God just kind of toss us a grenade and say, well, fiddle around with this and see if you can get it right, figure out how it works? I know that there are some marriages that probably seem that way, but I would say that no. I believe, as Peter said in 2 Peter 1, 3, and 4, and to paraphrase, that God has given us everything that pertains to life and godliness and the true knowledge of him who calls us. Has God anything to say about romance, sex, dating, marriage, and conflict in marriage? I believe the answer is yes, and he does this in the Song of Solomon.